What's up, guys? Welcome back. So this week we're going to be having a weekly market review or weekly forex analysis for Monday October 2nd through Friday October 6th 2023. So starting with the dollar index, this past few weeks I've told you guys that I'd love to see this buy side taken out, and eventually this buy side taken out. Eventually we saw that happen this week that we just traded in. This review is coming late, that's why you're seeing this candle. It's Sunday night my time, so market just opened, so we're going to trade here this coming week starting tomorrow, Monday. Now my bias for the week for the dollar index, I would love to see price drop down a little and then rally up above to take out this buy side, eventually trading into this fair value gap. This is a fair value gap. I'll quickly rename that, and this time this is for the weekly time frame. So here's a fair value gap. A fair value gap is when we have three candles in a discount or premium array. In this case, on the premium side, that's on the upper side of the market, we have candles 1 and then candles 2 dropping impulsively, and then candles 3. We have the low of candle 1 and then we have the high of candle 3. This low does not overlap with this high, so this big range, this pink shaded area, price has not traded in there, so there is a fair value that has to be covered properly. So the only candles we saw moving was here, and it has not been covered properly, so that's why we are seeing price has been gravitating up in the just couple of weeks. So first we're going to take out this buy side, which is the previous buy side, and at the same time we're trading into this fair value gap. We might trade into the halfway, which is the halfway of the fair value gap, or we'll completely cover it. But for now, our objective is the low hanging fruit, which is here, the buy side. So this week I'm expecting higher prices in dollar index, maybe close or above this buy side, but definitely into this fair value gap. Daily time frame for the dollar index. So last week we saw price after trading, let me get this quickly. So after taking our buy side, we saw a little retracement. So once we quickly zoom in and see what we retraced into on the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, after taking out a buy side, there is a little fair value gap here, very little. Candles 1, candles 2, candles 3 on the daily time frame. So after going above, we saw price coming back, trading into the fair value gap, and at the same time coming right to the middle of this candle. Remember, I said whenever we have long wicks, price will treat these wicks as gap. So in most cases we will see price trading into the midpoint of a wick, and the midpoint is what we call consequent encroachment. So price traded down to the consequent encroachment of this wick and then rejected back from it to the upside, at the same time taking out this fair value gap or trading in a fair price. So this week on the daily time frame, I would like to see price drop down a bit, maybe to the consequent encroachment of this week or below that into this fair value gap, and then rally up while we attack this buy side and then trade into the fair value gap that we saw on the weekly time frame. Euro dollar weekly time frame. Okay, so for the euro dollar, remember we are bullish in dollar index. So for the euro dollar, we've been seeing lower prices. Some guys have come to my comment section and they told me that, look, we are oversold, we are all that, and they kept saying, look, it's time for price to go back up. No, that's not how prices book. We've been selling for a long time, does not mean that, look, price has to go back up. No, that's not the reason why price move. Prices do not move because they are oversold or they are overbought. When price moves, we target one of two things. Price will move to one of two things. One, now, here's where you take note, guys. Here's where you take notes. Price move for one of two reasons. One, liquidity. Two, inefficiencies. These are two reasons why price would move to a particular place where they want to move to. So liquidity, when I mean liquidity, either buy side, sell side. Inefficiencies could be in form of fair value gaps, volume imbalance, consequent encroachment of wicks, just like that. So price will move for one of two reasons. Now, I'll quickly give you an example here, like I was saying on this chart. So this is a weekly time frame for the euro dollar. Now, I'm going to prove to you right now that price move because it's only going to fill up inefficiencies or attack buy side or sell side, which is liquidity. Now, ask yourself, price was here and then price was going up, right? Gradually, Have you asked yourself why price stopped here and reversed? The answer is simple. It's going to fill an inefficiency. In this case, the type of inefficiency is volume imbalance. A volume imbalance is when we have two candles that do not overlap by bodies. Let me quickly drag this down a little. Good. Look at the body of this candle and look at the body of this candle. There is a gap. Yes, the wicks overlap, but there is a gap between the body, between the close of this candle and the open. And so price has been coming up for the several weeks just to fill up this gap. Inefficiency. So price move for one of two reasons: to fill up inefficiencies or to take out liquidity. So we are still bearish on euro dollar, and last week price was here and I said we are going to take out buy sell side, and we did right here. Are we done going down? I don't think so. I do not believe so. We might see a little retracement back up, maybe fill up this or trade back here, and then we'll rally back down. But ultimately, we have not taken out this buy sell side. And guys, look down here. What do you see? A fair value gap weekly time frame. We have candles 1. Look at the high of candles 1. We have candles 2, and then look at the low of candles 3. There is a gap. There is a gap, a fair value gap, week on weekly time frame. Yes, we saw price trading into it here, but just slightly. We didn't get to the halfway, and we didn't get to a full 50%, 100% rather. So when we have a fair value gap like this, if we have not traded down to 50% of it, or the whole complete fair value gap, we are not done with it. So yes, after taking out this sell side, we are going to target the sell side this coming week, and ultimately the goal is to get to this fair value gap on our weekly time frame. So for euro dollar weekly time frame, well, bearish. Daily time frame. Okay, so on the daily time frame, after taking out sell side last week, there is a little fair value gap here, and that's where we traded into before closing out on last week. Now we just opened it Sunday night, so we are going to probably see price go a little bit up and then rip down below where will be our target. There's a sell side here we mentioned, and then ultimately we'll be riding for this fair value gap that we saw on the weekly time frame. Are we going to get to this fair value gap this week? Well, anything is possible, but the range is quite far. We might not get there. We might still get there, but all I'm saying is that we're going to expect lower expansion to the downside this week for euro dollar. Pound dollar, weekly time frame. So last 2 weeks I said we're going to take out the sell side. We have done that. So this is relevant right now, so let me quickly do that. And then last week I said there is an order block here on the weekly time frame, which is this last down close candle, and I'm saying we're going to reach out for it. Yes, this is still our low hanging fruit objective for now. This was last week candle. We didn't actually get to it, but there was a lower expansion to the downside. This week we're opening here. We might trade up a bit and then continue expansion to the downside. Daily time frame, pound dollar. So for the daily time frame for pound dollar, there's something interesting that you guys might want to see. Now, here is the weekly order block I showed you guys here on the weekly time frame, which is anchored to this point here, to this point rather. Now, just below the weekly time frame order block, there is a fair value gap on the daily time frame. We have candles 1, candles 2, candles 3. Look at the wick of candles 3. Yes, the low of it and the high of candles 1, they do not overlap. So this gap is this blue shaded area, green, blue, whatever the color is, yeah, that I highlighted here. So remember, I said as far as we do not get up to 50% of a fair value gap, we're not done with it. Yes, we have it, we have candles trading into it, but they are not up to 50% and they're not even filled. So yes, we are going to attack the order block, and ultimately we are going to trade into this fair value gap on the daily time frame for pound dollar this coming week. The Canadian dollar, finally, USDCAD. So last week we were here and I mentioned that I would love to see price expand away from this fair value gap. Remember, I said previously, a few minutes ago, that the reason why price move is liquidity or inefficiency. Now see what happened here. We took our buy side with this candle, the weekly buy side. After that, what happened? We started coming back down. Where were we trading into? Into this fair value gap. Candles 1, candles 2, candles 3, and there is a gap. And then we traded into the gap, and then look at this last week. Look at the expansion away from it. Why is it expanding from it? Because this is how prices actually book. We either take out liquidity or we trade into inefficiency. It has taken out this liquidity. There was a retracement. Where are we going to stop? Inefficiency. Because there is no sell side. The sell side we have is here. So these things, they are not just as simple as this. They are deeper than this, and they are not things I can teach in one video. So last week we traded into this fair value gap for the weekly time frame, and there is an expansion away from it. This week I'm expecting we're going to trade on a little, and then we're going to have more expansion, taking out the previous buy side and possibly this buy side, and ultimately here's our goal. But for our low hanging objective here, this buy side, higher prices for USDCAD this coming week for the weekly time frame. Daily time frame. Several weeks ago, if you've been following my analysis, you see that I mentioned this fair value gap, candles 1, candles 2, candles 3, and when we traded above it, I said I'm expecting price to come into it and act as support, and we did acted as support, and then ultimately before taking out buy side. After taking out the buy side, we came back, traded down into a random place, nope, into the fair value gap we saw on the weekly time frame, but it is not seen as fair value gap right here, and then we've traded back from it. Now, are we done with this fair value gap? Nope, we're not done. Price has closed above it again. Now we might see price dig into it, maybe, just maybe, close up this candle we have here and then expand to the upside. Does it have to get here? Absolutely not. We can even just open and then start trading up, taking out this buy side. So what are we going to do with this information? Well, we've done our analysis for the week. And what do you do with this information? We have news drivers this week. So whenever we have news drivers, in most cases, not all the time, up to 80% or more, in most cases, you'd see the news drivers taking price down to exactly where I analyzed that they are going to go. For example, when we have news, you see dollar index expanding to the upside until we get to its objective. Then when we get to the objective, anything can happen. For the euro dollar, we'll be expecting lower prices. For pound dollar, lower prices. Canadian dollar, will be expecting lower prices. And then if you have a strategy that works, can you trade against this trend, this buy side, sell side, or lower prices we mentioned? Of course you can. But the bottom line is, if you have a strategy that works for you, always look for the big explosive moves to the direction that we have analyzed for the week. For example, euro dollar, you're trading euro dollar. Can you buy this week? Yes, you can, if you have a good strategy. But you should be expecting lower prices, explosive move on lower prices. But if you're buying, just make sure it's just little scalp, risky entries. You get. So that's what you're going to do with this information. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me through this channel. Soon I'll be dropping my email address on the channel so that you can reach me if you want to reach out to me for any questions or inquiries. And I hope you find this video very insightful, and until I talk to you next time, I wish you good luck and be safe.